All yours.
Alrighty. Um, so we are, unfortunately, one of our members is not here today, but this idea came from her, so we're going to do our best to explain the kind of ideas that, we came up with together, and
You can use the arrow keys too.
yeah, so we're going to make a mood app. Our goal, to create an interactive multi-platform application to visualize mood on campus. So basically our current goal is to have it kind of be like an app for students. It more of like instead of being like, for like I think the app could be adapted to be more than just Cal Poly students, but for now we were thinking of having it so that there would be like a map of Cal Poly, and you would see interactions with the different users, and we'll get into that in a little bit.
So our team is made up for 3 people. Justin and Andrea are the programmers, and then I'm a designer.
I think you all should do all of it, but hey, that's good.
Oh yeah, we will
Means
like
you
help
did
each
it.
other out, but this is like our main roles.
They're stronger.
Yeah.
Got
So for our base features, we're focusing on 3. The first one is just one is the interactive map. So since we're focusing on Cal Poly, we're going to have the users be able to pinpoint their location, and there is an option to have like exact location or just the general area, because some people are not comfortable with exact location. And then from there, be able to input their data, which in this case will be their mood. And then from there, it would affect the map and basically show an overall spread of the general mood in a certain area. And that's where the quick login comes in, where the user can just quickly pick wherever they are and put their mood, and that would affect the actual map itself. And then there is a mode option. So since it is tailored to Cal Poly students, we want to make sure that there is an option for a professional style, in case, if you're in class, a lot of professors like, what are you doing on your phone? You're not playing any games or whatnot. So there are going to be 2 different modes. One is like a professional style, which is more minimal, and the style is also tailored towards professors, the older crowd, or an older audience. And then we have another mode that is more for
younger students.
The gamification.
Gamification of it.
We also are, it says assistive mode, which essentially, one of the points that Andrea was making was that it's really important to have accessibility. So that's also going to be another main focus of our app.
And then for added features, so this is more for the younger crowd, the gamification part. We're gonna have things like a pet or something they can take care of.
Try to keep it simple. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's stay where we were earlier. I got it, but we want to go crazy. But let's just, imagine that we have really just 6 weeks.
It's more of it's not really, it's less of a pet, and we haven't fully decided yet. But essentially, what it is there's going to be a simple, straightforward, put in your mood, put in your thing, and then the other part is going to be the mini game type version of it, where there's going to be, like, instead of you just getting like a text box that says do this, it's going to be a little character that is themed.
Yes.
I was afraid that you wanted the mood of the pet. I was
No.
It's the same function as the professional style. It's just in a more gamified way.
Remember, you guys, we have 6 weeks left or less. What is it? Is the 4th week? Yeah, 6 weeks left, in this quarter. And you have to basically have everything done. In fact, ideally at the end, we always shoot for a minimal viable product. So kind of something which you even put just, placeholder where you could not finish, but all the pieces are there. So keep it for now simple. If you have extra time, to do this, next quarter, you can add it on top. But this quarter, we really need the bones, the building blocks.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so the interactive mode, which is the main focus of the interactive version, is so when you're doing your moods in the gamified version, you'd actually be like making potions or writing in a grimoire. And so essentially, if you go back and look at your history of like how you were feeling each day, you'd be able to go, oh, this is the potion I made on this day using these emotions. These were the emotions I felt on this day. Or you can open up a grimoire and see the different colored text of, this is how much I was feeling this day, of like angry or happy or sad or whatever. And so it would give you a unique, potion bottle or book that signifies that day.
That's cool. I love it. Very great idea.
Oh, this is our mood board.
Yeah, so this will be for the professional version, the light and dark mode, being able to do colorblind palettes, as well as being able to change the brightness for comfort.
And we're trying to stick to colors kind of close to Cal Poly, but we didn't want to make it fully Cal Poly in case it does expand past the location of Cal Poly. So we picked the colors purple and gold, or like a lighter yellow that's a little bit easier on the eyes.
But also, this is really important because of it demonstrates the different kinds of color blindness modes. So that way, especially because the way that we're showing this app is about displaying, the colors of the moods. So if there were, we want to make sure that if you're colorblind, that you can still access this app and get the full enjoyment of seeing the different colors, mixing and everything.
That's good. I was going to ask you about accessibility, but you're already there. Perfect.
So this is just like some inspiration.
On the younger audience.
Yeah. This is more for the professional style. It's gonna still be visually pleasing to the younger audience, but also easy to use for the older audience. And then a little bit more inspiration.
Just demonstrating the colors, the different feelings that we can have. All of these are just kind of what are inspiring, the kind of vibe that we want to have.
What are you using technology-wise?
Well, I think
Dart. And
yeah.
then for like the assets building, stuff like that, like Blender.
If they're 3D, right?
Yes.
Because you
Yeah.
could if they're like what you just showed us are more two-dimensional.
Yeah.
You don't even need them.
That's for the professional version. We're
Yeah.
planning on having more artsy stuff for the which we're about to get into. So this is kind of what is inspired our more interactive design. I really like the middle one because it really shows depth, but also feels like it's your little cozy home. And so we're trying to go for this kind of mood of happy, but also like witchy, wizardy, as well as the 2D versions of the previous things. Still
And
going
you
for the
would
same
choose
vibe.
between the 3D or the 2D.
Yes. So right now we're kind of just figuring out which one would work best.
What do you guys
with
like
our
better?
timeline and stuff.
The crowd. Go back for a second. What is it easier to build too? I'm one of those people that always has to think about building. I guess because I'm an architect. You know what I mean? When I'm planning a project, I immediately go to, what is easier to build? I guess either one are easier to build. One you do it with Blender. The other one you'll do it with Illustrator or whatever. But does anybody have preferences?
I also think that for certain objects, the kind of for planning, like for the potions, for example, I think we could 3D model and then place them on a 2D shelf or something using perspective and stuff.
Do
Because
you guys know the grease pencil in Blender?
Mhm.
yeah, and my kind of idea with that was like the cabinet doesn't have to be super ornate or anything.
Sure,
And using the 2D could make it look better, and then clicking on the potion you could like spin it, and so that would be kind of like fun to be able to see the potion spin or whatever, but it wouldn't necessarily, everything wouldn't have to be 3D.
Yeah, so we were thinking of combining both for like objects that you could more interact with, more 3D, more detailed, versus everything else would be more 2D, more simple,
I
easier
also
to
think that an older crowd might be happier with the 2D, something quick and easy, and the younger crowd might like more like this environment. But anyway, you'll figure that one out. It's nice that you have really great examples for the mood board. Those are awesome.
Yeah,
And
and so
then you have some sketches.
yeah, so these are some basic wireframes. These are not the final things. It's just, some ideas that we're trying to do for the professional app, or the professional style. And then these are just some character ideas that we had for the little interactive
Now, can you
one.
take a character when you get in, or not really? Means can you choose
We're-
an avatar and quote?
We're planning just doing one for right now, one basic one, and then if we have time, we can try doing more. But right
Yeah.
now, we're just sticking to one.
We were thinking like maybe for different aspects of it, we would have different like NPCs telling you instructions. Like for example, I thought an interesting thing with the moods and the candle would be like the candle has anger management issues. So when it gets angry, its flame grows bigger, so it has to stay calm or
Or it
else it'll
changes
melt
color.
really quick.
Yeah, that's why I was asking about that, because I was imagining that each mood could have a little mascot to that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's exactly what I was thinking. Cool. Looks like what I like is that you haven't much indecision. You're already on the way of being able to theoretically you could create these and start plugging things in. We definitely need to look at the app, the mobile component, or how everything is organized and how easy it is to move through it. UI UX.
But yeah, we just were. You asked about our technology for app design. We're using Adobe Suite, Blender, Maya. We're building it using the Flutter software, the Dart language, and for our database, we're going to be using Firebase, user management, and Google API for the maps and
Do
geolocation.
you guys know any of this stuff? I mean, I imagine you know the Adobe, Blender, and Maya stuff. Do you know the rest?
Andrea really wants to use the Dart language, so she already.
probably knows.
She already. I don't think we super know about the Dart language yet, but I think the reason she chose it was because it will work really well for this idea.
I think that part of this CIA capstone, there's always a component of the first quarter teaching yourself, part of the software while you're building up the idea and the assets is pretty normal. And then the following quarter is really more like building time. So if you get stuck, you have a computer scientist getting you unstuck, hopefully. Cool, sounds good. I mean, I don't know if there is a whole lot of discussion to have. Let's ask if anybody has ideas and contributions. We need to kind of move to the next team though, because I'm starting to worry about making it through all the teams. We got a good grasp of your idea. Any comments or suggestions? Yes.
For my senior project, I'm also doing like a kind of mood tracker with like a pen companion that grows like with your if you have like more moods and stuff. And that's taking us like 2 whole quarters. So I feel like your idea is really ambitious, especially because you're trying to make it so that you can see other people's moods and like other people can see your moods and like using like the Google Maps API I've heard is also like can be notoriously difficult. I feel like maybe I really like the aspect of it where it's like more when it's like with the interactive stuff, maybe like kind of focusing more on that instead of like having it be, like you can interact with other people or like just like choosing whatever you think is more like more
That's why I talked at the very beginning of this presentation about the minimum viable product, because that gives you really a sense of how much you have to do. It means if you have to do just even the bones, in which all the interactivity, everything is working by 4 or 6 weeks from now, you know what I mean? You kind of start realizing what does it take to put this stuff together, and then you get a reality check on how much you can build.
Yeah.
But like when I was seeing the pad and stuff, that's what it was in my mind. I kept thinking, gosh, they have to get it to really bare bone first, then they can build up. So it's great, but yeah, I wish you had like 3 quarters to do it. My point is, you might run into downsizing, and most likely you will. So thanks for making it more real, because you're going down this path.
Yeah, I think for the geolocation, we hadn't fully set on that idea yet. We think we're pretty sure that we want to do a map, but I think a better implementation of it would be, instead of like doing any sort of geolocating or whatever, we had like certain areas of campus that would have different names, like library or whatever,
Like
and then
this-
you'd be able to assign that
Yeah,
yourself,
very thinking.
and then we would. Basically, we wanted to have a mood map of Cal Poly, but I think having it be a little bit more manual and be like, oh, where are you today? Like, boom.
Yeah.
Then that would make it a little bit easier. We don't have to implement that like Google.
What I would value even more than having all these different, you know, the professional and non-professional and stuff like that, is I would value the most the ability to, if you're pissed that day because you want something to happen in Cal Poly that isn't happening, you can be in zone library gray. And why is it gray? You have an option, a box that can kind of allows you to input one sentence that says, this is what I want. So I think to me that would be a really amazing asset, because yes, it's fun to see if the library is happy or not, but if I was there seeing it gray, I would want to know, I wonder why. You know, I mean, the end of the result is, would be nice to to give people a voice, not just a color, if they're happy or not. But good. I love your idea. Don't take it wrong. It's just kind of like something I asked at the very beginning, to have a